and you've got a guy who's 6'5" and can get his own shot and get to the rim.
Right.
He's a modern NBA point guard.
Yeah, Jerome is not a shot creator. Jerome is a guy that is going to spread the ball around and play really good defense. When you look at Garland, he's a guy that can score the basketball. The problem with him is that we just don't know a whole lot about him. That's why when he got
a whole lot of tape on him.
Exactly. He was injured. He only played, I think 4 or 5 games last year at Vanderbilt. So, I mean, this is, for Coby White, it felt like for Chicago, this was a relatively safe selection for them. Which,
right.
You know, it's worked out, but guys like Lauri Markkanen, Wendell Carter, there were some risks with those guys. Now, my concern with them is they only won 22 games last year, and you got guys like Markkanen and Carter, as well as Levine, who are talented. Now, the thing for them is they're going to have to build a bench. It'll be interesting to see how they do that. But right now, they've got enough young pieces, and this is a reason that, you know, Coby came out early. This is a reason why it actually works out for him, because he's going to have a couple of years where, okay, even if it does take them 3 or 4 years to build into a playoff team, he's 21, 22. He's not like the guy we were just talking about, Cam Johnson, who, if it takes that long, is 26, 27.
Right.
So for Coby, it works out. I love the pick. You know, I have no problem rooting for the Bulls, even though we're Knicks fans. We're not supposed to like them because Michael Jordan repeatedly kicked our rear ends in the early 90s and mid 90s when we had Patrick Ewing, and that was our best chance to win. You know, I have nothing against it. I love it. I love the selection.
We'll go into this here a little before we wrap this up. And Nass had an interesting draft night. He entered the draft and people thought he had maybe worked his way up into the lottery because he worked out very well for individual teams, was a good combine showing, really interviewed really well.
Mm-hmm.
And many people thought that was maybe his biggest effort, this kid's mature to be 18 years old. That didn't happen. The exact opposite happened. He falls all the way to 25 in Portland. So he doesn't get the lottery status, but he gets to 25, and he gets a really good situation for himself individually. You're going to a team that just made the Western Conference Finals, so you're going to be on a team that you think's going to contend. You're going to a place where we've seen them develop talent, most notably, Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum. Arguably the second best backcourt in the NBA. 2 guys that played at non-power programs and are now stars in the league. So Portland has shown the ability to develop talent. Mm-hmm. And we heard Jay Billis say all night long once his slip was inevitable, this is a top 10 talent. Dude, I think Jay Billis might be staying in the same hotel room as Nassir. So, watch out, buddy. Yeah. Maybe it actually had me reevaluating the man crushes I have in my life. I was scared for a minute. I mean, I thought he was going to go up there and rip the suit right off of him when he got drafted. That was scary for a minute. So for Nassir, it's kind of twofold. Yeah, you fell a lot further than you would have originally wanted to fall, but he probably couldn't have asked for a better situation. He got what we were wanting really from Cam Johnson. Yes, yeah. Was you fall to a contender where you can develop and help right away. As for Nassir, you're on a contender. They're going to help you develop. There's not going to be a whole lot of pressure barring a ton of injury. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, if this guy takes off, he may be that one guy that helps push Portland over the top next year in a Western Conference that's a little bit more wide open with the injuries to Golden State. So, we're really a fun night for him personally. For us as fans, it was kind of anxious, and Twitter started arguing over him because he was falling at guys. Well, this was expected because he sucked. And then you had some guys saying, well, this is going to fuel him to be a better NBA player, which you and I both believe that's what he'll be once he gets. Can I address the moron that said that he puts him in the same class as Larry Drew, the Ware twins, and McCants? Yeah, what the hell is that? Like, that's a joke, right? Like, this kid drops and all of a sudden. Also, there was another account on there, Carolina Blitz, I believe is the name of the account, that said, does this affect Roy Williams recruiting when it comes to a higher
touted players.
Yeah, all you do
What is that? That makes no sense.
You just put 3 guys in the first round for the first time, but you put 4 guys in 2012.
Right.
Just because a top 3 prospect when he entered Chapel Hill didn't do that in the draft doesn't hurt future recruiting.
I mean, I don't understand. This was a guy that entered the night as somebody that was seen as a lottery guy. This wasn't somebody that had dropped to the end of the first round in most projections, and you were saying, okay, you know, this doesn't look good.
And also, it was pointed out by Jay Billis, I don't think we all paid a lot of attention to. Of all the collegiate players that were drafted in the first round, Nazir Little played the fewest minutes, and that was only 18.
Yeah.
Because look at the guy that was in the 3 spot ahead of him, Cam Johnson, number 11 pick. The guy that was Luke May, who averaged nearly a double-double. So we didn't even really see him in a full role, so to speak.
Are we going to get back into this argument that we had? Where should Nazir? Like, we're doing this again at this point because of the draft. But I love this from my guy, Gerard Hardy, who works for Tar Heel Illustrated. He said in a tweet, they will literally look to take a shot at Roy Williams' recruiting ability every single time that they can.
Right.
I mean, how the hell does that reflect badly on Roy? I mean, now talking about Nazir, I think the fit's interesting because, like you mentioned, with a contender, he has a chance to make an impact early. And there is a chance he probably will come off the bench early, but he is behind a guy in Al-Farouq Aminu who's kind of interesting. Well, Aminu might not be one of the stars of the league, not even close. This is a guy that, I mean, does his game not resemble something that you would kind of want Nazir's game to resemble? I mean, he's a guy that can score the basketball, is an athlete, plays really good defense, won't wow you with anything that he does, but is really just a solid all-around player who, despite a lot of people pretty much forgetting that he's probably still in the league, unless you're a diehard Portland fan, he's a guy that's a solid NBA starter. So, I mean, it makes a little bit of sense. I don't necessarily hate it, but, you know, yeah, like you said, I would have died to see Cam Johnson on that team. Him with McCollum and Lillard.
Yeah.
That's a dream right there, dude. That's my Jay Billis situation right there. Oh, man. I'll be man-crushing over that for a while if that was to happen. But it didn't happen. What are you going to do? So, yeah.
It was a fun night for NBA fans, fun night for us as Carolina fans. It's been a while since we had to look forward to the NBA draft like this, where we had a lot of guys we knew were going in the first round.
Right.
This will be back to normal. I think Carolina basketball, with the recruiting, is going to get back to putting guys in the draft on a yearly basis, with multiple players. Most notably, Cole Anthony could arguably be a top 3 pick next year, the first point guard taken next year's draft.
And I think Kelling could end up going next year as well.
So there you have it. Just a quick recap: Kobe White to the Bulls at 7, Cam Johnson to Phoenix at 11, Nazir Little to Portland at 25, and that was their night, as they are now officially former Tar Heels, and they'll begin their NBA journeys shortly. Anthony, well, thank you for joining me as we did this impromptu late edition of the Royce Boys podcast. Appreciate your hard work. You know where to find the podcast, where you can find all your podcasts: Spreaker, iTunes, the iHeartRadio app, Spotify, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, and Tumblr. I want to thank you guys for listening. Go Tar Heels.